Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How's it
Uh,
going today?
So far, so good. Coffee's good.
Good. An important start. Are you drinking it out of the red college party
So
cups?
I ran out of
I
my
love it.
styrofoam cups. I ran out of my styrofoam cups, so I doubled up on these.
So the beer pong starts at 9:30 after the session is done.
Yeah. Or
Perfect.
it could just be beer, and I'm lying to you all.
Right.
Oh, what
I
a
Got my
love it.
picture
orange,
of our youth.
You got your orange. Good,
got my
good.
orange, I've got my chocolate. We're ready to roll.
Great. Well, then we have to really be accountable and get to the meditation because I'll feel terrible if I promised you several times that we would do it this week and if we don't. So we'll get there. I think Jessica might be in the car, so we'll see if she's able to have her camera on or not, but she mentioned she might be driving. Hello, you're home.
Hi. I'm about to jump in, so I'll be in the car, but probably with my video off, if that's
No
okay
problem.
with everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna do a walking meditation today. So just do it while you're sitting. All good.
Got it. I'll walk the hands out.
Perfect. And here's Paula. I'm realizing that Mike is probably just like wrapping up his trip in a few days. I think he gets back on the 15th. I feel like that's gone really quickly, but I know we'll be glad to have him back in the mix.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have him back. It's going to be surreal to kind of emerge from the wilderness,
Yeah.
go back into his office.
Like culture shock, I'm
Yeah.
sure. It's got to
Yeah.
take a while to adjust. Barbie came along.
Barbie's here.
I'm so glad you invited her. She already has found her comfortable seat.
You're
muted
muted,
though, Paula.
She has a feeling tones practice though, Rach. See, I feel, and
Perfect.
there's different.
And she's dressed in the cloud gear, so she's like really got the whole air element going on in body and mind.
Right. And I put in the chat that she was of color, kind of, because she's really just painted. She's a white featured person, just dyed dark.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, wow, that is fascinating.
Wow, they tried, I guess.
We've come a long way since then. I
And they're
think.
guided meditation.
Oh, really?
I fully expect you all to radiate a cloud from your abdomen when we're done with this training. I love it. So that said, I have 4 minutes after 30, so let's get started to make sure we have time to do oranges. And I don't know if we'll get to chocolate today, but we'll for sure get to oranges. So we're going to start with a meditation right off the bat, which I kind of like because it's an opportunity to, ground a little as we get started. So where we finished, I'm going to just hop on to where we were last week. Okay, so we finished here talking about what parts of the body each of these elements correspond to. And now we're going to move right into that 4 elements meditation. So this practice might be helpful for calming anxiety or for feeling grounded in the space wherever you might be, whether that's in Wyoming or in the office or in your bedroom. So begin by just allowing yourself to kind of land right here. Again, finding that comfortable seat that might be different from the seat you knew yesterday, something that feels right in your body today. Keeping your eyes closed or halfway open if you prefer, as always having that freedom to listen to your body and trust what feels best today. So give yourself permission to let go of everything that has happened today before you sat down to do this practice. Give yourself space to let go of the anticipation of what might happen after, and allow yourself to just be right here, right now. This practice is called the 4 elements because we incorporate the elements of earth, air, water, and fire. And we'll be walking through each element together. So find just your comfortable breathing cadence, whatever feels right in your body today. No need to manipulate it. Just let it be as it is. Starting with the element earth. Bring your awareness to your feet on the ground, or maybe your body on a chair, a couch, a cushion, or wherever you may be sitting and making contact with that foundation beneath you. And just notice the contact points of where your body meets the earth or that foundation. Notice how it's supporting you, holding you, giving you a safe space to land. Envision that many faces of the earth have supported you throughout your life. The land where you were born, the land you live on now, the places and foundations of nature that have given you purpose, meaning, and a sense of identity. Next, bring your awareness to the sounds you hear now. That might include my voice and anything else that you may notice in your immediate surroundings. Then begin to expand that awareness to include any sounds you might hear outside of your immediate surroundings. Whether it's outside the room you're in or the building you're in, just becoming aware of the different sounds. Meeting them with curiosity rather than judgment. Moving on to the element air. Gently begin to bring your awareness to your breath and just notice the natural inhale and exhale of your body breathing itself. Letting it be exactly as it is, not pushing, not striving. Envision the spaciousness that surrounds your breath, the natural quality it holds, and the fact that your body breathes without your telling it to do so. This same breath has moved through you, activated and enlivened your body every day of your life since you were a tiny infant, taking your very first breath, and every day of your life since then. In difficulty, in ease, in joyful exhales, and shallow inhales. It's always been there, breathing you alive. Now we'll move into a gentle breathing practice called box breathing. In this practice, you'll inhale to the count of 4, hold for the count of 4, exhale to the count of 4, and then hold for the count of 4 again. We'll do that 4 times. So let's begin. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Last time. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now beginning to let yourself just breathe naturally, kind of dissolve back into that natural rhythm of your breath, noticing whatever you might be feeling, noticing how it feels to drop back into that regular rhythm. And now, steeped in air, we'll move on to the element of water. Knowing your body is made of 70% water. Offer gratitude to the water rushing through your cells and blood vessels right now, hydrating you, cooling you, digesting food, flushing out toxins, flowing oxygen and energy and nutrients all around your body. Relax into knowing that your body naturally flows. And now begin to intentionally bring water to your mouth, making your mouth water. Maybe you're thinking of a favorite food or a memory of something your grandmother made when you were small, the taste of which always feels like home. When the nervous system is in a rest and digest mode, we can bring water to the mouth. So when you intentionally do that, you send the signal to the nervous system that you are settled and calm. And now from this place of flow, of calm, finally we'll turn to the fourth element, fire. Check in and just notice, is there anywhere in your body that feels warm, where there might be heat? Is it your belly, your throat, your armpits? Just notice. Envision the heat of digestion and the energy of metabolism and the bodily processes that keep your cells living and moving and growing and dying and functioning all day and all night, as you wake and as you sleep. And now let's begin to fire the imagination to a calm place, a place that we've either been or a place that we would like to go, that represents calm, peace, or being settled. And in this place, we will fire the imagination. So first begin to see the sights. Bring into your mind's eye the sights you would see in this calm place. Seeing the colors, the textures, the landscape, these earth elements as well. Really taking in the soothing sights. Next, begin to take in and notice any sounds you might hear in your calm place. Sometimes people might choose a place in nature. You might hear the wind blowing, or waves crashing, or birds chirping. So just allow yourself to notice whatever sounds you might hear in this calm place. Next, bringing awareness to the scents you might smell in this calm place. Maybe it's the salty air or suntan lotion if you're at the beach, or whatever it may be that you would notice in your most calm, grounded place. And now finally, bring your awareness gently to what it would feel like on your skin in this calm place. Would it be cool and crisp, hot and humid? Would you be bundled up in a lot of clothing? Would you feel the wind on your skin? Are you in the sun or in the shade? Really bring into your awareness what it would feel like on your skin in this very calm place. And so now just take in anything else that might be particularly soothing or nourishing to you in this calm place, this place that feels like home to your body. And then when you're ready, begin to bring your senses back to this calm place here together. As together here, we gently conclude this practice of the 4 elements: earth, air, water, and fire. Taking your time here. Whenever you're ready, if anyone wants to share any reflections or thoughts, how that felt in your body or your mind.
For me, that was just really, really relaxing, especially when I got to like feeling on my skin. So I was in my my happy place, transported myself to my hammock on a summer morning, which is one of my favorite times to enjoy life, and focusing really in on like the coolness of the wind, yet the heat of the sun kind of mixing together at the same time. It's one of my favorite things. And then beyond that, immediate sensation, focusing in on like the sounds that come along with the birds, the filtering of my pool, the water rustling. So that ended up being super, super relaxing.
I love how in that recollection you mentioned the elements. You mentioned the heat of the sun and the cool of the wind, the air, and the grass rustling and the water dripping. I mean, right there, how cool to really witness how they integrated in
Yeah.
your body in that experience.
My happy place was our cabin. We have a cabin not too far away, and it's like my body immediately responds when we're there. Like the second I step out of the car, my whole system changes. And it's on the river, so you can see the river if you're standing on the right part of the property. And I was like sitting next to the fire, like in my mind, I was like sitting next to the fire with Josh. That's usually like if we get a weekend or 24 hours to like sneak away without the kids, that's where we go. So I was like really happy to be there this morning.
I hope it wasn't a tease as you open your eyes and jump right back into work.
Well, I had to like pull myself. I had to like remind myself to stay with the practice, because I immediately went into that like scheduling mode of like, oh, can we fit in one more trip before it gets too cold? And yeah.
Paula and Jessica, you don't have to share if you don't want to. Okay, cool. Well, let's move into what happens after the 4 elements. Let's see if I can move you all up here. Great. All right, so another beautiful sort of pictorial representation of the 4 elements, many of which I think that meditation does a nice job of melding in our own embodied experience. This was the introduction to our meditation, which we just did. How do you feel about this description of a felt sense of safety in the body, mind, and emotions? Does that sound accurate? to what you felt during the meditation?
It felt very calming.
Okay, great. So one of the sort of famous little tools I see going around social media a lot is this idea that when you feel anxious, you should tune into your senses, right? And like say 5 things that you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you smell, 2 things you taste, or I can't remember the exact details, but you're nodding, you know what I mean? Which is another way of really, you know, tapping into the sensory experience to ground yourself in the present moment. So it's like a shorthand version of this meditation. If you had to answer which element you feel most connected to right now or today, what do you think it would be?
Probably fire for me. I've really had like that sensory feel in my, like in my skin. So it probably sat like most heavily through the practice was that part, the last part. But breath always seems to calm me too, because no matter how heavy life is, I've noticed that in meditation, I realize like how light my breath actually is. And that feels like calming as well. Like, all right, everything around me is crazy, but right here, this breath is really light and airy.
And when life feels heavy, like the energy of adulting feels heavy, that's a nice counter to remember the lightness of air.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like my typical morning practice.
I'd say air for me. It's cold in the office, and
Is the
although
heat still out?
they said the heat's fixed, but I'm just real like I don't want to get us off track, but it's still cold in the office. So I have the little space heater shooting on my feet, and I've just been very aware of my breath and like my chest area. It's been tight since I got up, just anxious feelings. So I've been very aware of my breath and really intentional about it today. So I'd say I feel connected to air today.
Barbie got me all giddy this morning. So I feel connected to air and lightness. And actually, I really love being in that space.
I like the
And-
connection to humor there that you made, the air and humor. That makes a lot of sense.
Well,
I think
laughter,
of
right?
I think of literally the air when somebody sucks helium. And you know, they get the high, silly voice. That it feels like, okay, that humor, that silliness, that literal air, they're all connected.
Right.
So we have like thick fog here. It feels like water and air, but it's kind of quiet and cozy and heavy. And it's nice. It's wintry, but I feel the elements especially because of that.
Will we talk about, because so Paula thinking about air when she thinks of like laughter and being giddy, I have a different awareness of air today because of, like an obstructed feeling. Would that be like imbalance, just like an imbalance of elements, or?
I'm thinking it's the multiplicity of faces of the elements. You know, we talked last time about how each element can be life-giving, but if there's too much of it, it takes away life or it destroys. So I think, they're both faces. For fire, there's the fire of creativity and there's a fire of destruction. So for air, it might be the same way.
Yeah.
So shifting to walking meditation today. So we know enough now, we're 4 lessons in, which means we're almost halfway through, that we can begin to practice mindfulness throughout our days. So we don't have to just sit and do this mindfulness work, but we can practice it in something as simple as walking. And there are 4 types, and these will probably feel familiar to you. The first is traditional walking meditation. And this makes me think of what several of you said when we first met and talked about what you think of when you hear the word mindfulness. A few folks said slow walking. And that's probably what we're talking about here. This idea that you're walking back and forth along the same short path, giving your mind this very single pointed focus of each step. It makes it easier to keep your mind focused by eliminating the distractions you might experience on a normal walk, you know, as you take a half an hour walk through your neighborhood or something like that, and run across cute dogs to pet, or foreboding clouds in the sky, or a new coat of paint on the house next door. So you can experiment using labeling techniques to help maintain your focus here. So those would be things that describe the action, like stepping, 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 or lifting foot, moving foot, putting foot down. The next type that's a little less formal would be breathing centric. So as you walk, you're going to keep a strong focus on your breath. We had practiced before lengthening the exhale. So here, for instance, you could practice exhaling twice as long as you inhale. Maybe inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 8 while you walk. And that's yoking your mind to that, and a kind of pranayama practice. So using breathing techniques to keep the mind right here where we are. Mindful observation. This is that detective mindset, that observer's mind, where you just kind of begin with how your body feels. You shift your attention through a series of different focus points, checking in with what you're experiencing as you go. So you just notice how it feels to be in your body today, noticing the different sensations, kind of checking in with whatever you're experiencing. You might notice the texture and consistency of your breath, or feel the sun on your face and the wind in your hair. That's a great way to incorporate some of those 4 elements practices. And this really works to establish that mind-body connection. You'll note we did some of these practices in a seated pose, like noticing sensations. Here's an opportunity to employ that as you move your body in mindful walking also. And then finally, maybe you want to use a mantra, helping you to yoke your mind to your breath and preventing your thoughts from wandering quite as much. So as we practiced earlier in the series, you're going to repeat that word or phrase during this meditation. Something as simple as inhale as you inhale and exhale as you exhale. Another opportunity could be to pick a word. For instance, something you're trying to create more in your life, like peace or love, compassion, abundance. Or a quite popular mantra is Soham. That's easy to remember. It means I am that. Hum is like an exclamation mark. And so this is Tara Brach, and we're going to follow one of her rough guidelines for a walking meditation. And if you don't know Tara, she's fantastic, a Buddhist psychologist based in the DC area who has a wonderful podcast. And she says, the formal training in walking meditation can be particularly valuable for helping you to cultivate an awareness of your embodied experience in each moment, allowing you to bring your body, heart, and mind together as you move through life. So I'm assuming, do each of you have room to make like 10 to 12 paces? Is there enough space in the room where you are? Yeah, it doesn't have to be far. Even if it's not a full 10 paces, I think it's doable. And Jess, you're in the car, so just do what you can. And I know you've done this before. All right, so let's see. Begin by choosing a place. Wherever you are, you might want to stand up now and stand to one edge of your space so that you do have just a short path in front of you that you can tread.
You're gonna have to open my office door and
My favorite part is going to be if any of you run into family or coworkers who see you walking
know.
back and forth.
I'm wondering if Gretchen's gonna show up.
Pacing like a zombie. Good thing we work for a meditation company because it all makes sense. All right, so once you're in that spot, start by standing still and just sensing the weight of your body at your feet. Feeling your muscles supporting and stabilizing you. Your hands can be in whatever position is most comfortable, resting easily at your sides, folded gently in front of you, or at your back. In this stillness, remain relaxed and yet alert. As you begin walking, start at a slower pace than usual. Paying particular attention to the sensations in your feet and legs. Heaviness, lightness, pressure, tingling, energy, even pain if it's present. For the walking practice, this play of sensations, rather than the breath or another anchor, is often the home base for our attention. Be mindful of the sensations of lifting your feet and of placing them back down on the floor or the earth. Sense each step fully as you walk in a relaxed and natural way to the end of your chosen path. When you arrive, stop and just pause for a moment. Feel your whole body standing, allowing all your senses to be awake. Then slowly and mindfully, with intention, turn to face in the other direction. Before you begin walking, pause again to collect and center yourself. If it helps, you can even close your eyes during these standing pauses, often called standing meditation. As you're walking, it's really natural for your mind to wander. Whenever it does, you might mentally pause, perhaps noting inwardly the fact that you're thinking, or even where your mind went, planning, worrying, fantasizing, judging. Then just very gently return your attention to the sensations of the very next step. No matter how long you've spent lost in thought, you can always arrive right here, bringing presence and care to the moment-to-moment sensations of walking. During this walking period, you might alter your pace, feeling out a speed that allows you to be most mindful of your experience. In this way, you'll move back and forth on your pathway, discovering that you're really not going anywhere, but you are arriving again and again in the aliveness that is right here. As Thich Nhat Hanh teaches, the miracle is not to walk on water. It is to walk on this earth with awareness. As you're ready, and whenever you're ready, you're welcome to make your way back to your seat. Bringing your senses back to this space here together. So how did that feel in your body or your mind?
I felt some impatience rise up in my body and my mind. Moving slow is hard for me.
I really relate to that. I'm a fast city walker. 10 years in San Francisco, I know how to walk and get out of my way. I'm getting somewhere. I'm doing something. This is a great challenge for me. So I was feeling lots of empathy for you all as you were mindfully pacing across the room.
I really liked it because it was certainly unique, right? Who doesn't walk quickly or hurriedly when you're going somewhere? I went to planning, as I usually do, and I countered that by counting. So, and actually through all of this, I've realized I do a lot of counting when I'm in any kind of meditation. So I was slowly counting my steps, and then when I stopped, I was counting my breaths, and that was a good anchor for me. It felt good to be upright and meditating, just a different spatial awareness, different place.
So that shamatha counting meditation really feels good to you.
When Jen and I went to Italy to the silent retreat, we did a half an hour of walking meditation a day. It was rough, guys.
Every day. Oh, boy.
Bless you. Yeah, that's intense.
And
That's really intense.
and 4 steps. It was 4 steps each way.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really rough.
I think I might stay at breakfast extra long that day and just continually miss it. Or though you said it was every day.
Every day, every afternoon.
Wow.
It was also beautiful, and like the sun shining down, and you're in Italy and the mountains and whatever. So that made it more bearable, but it was really hard.
Sean, did you feel irritated also?
Didn't, no. I just had to, I found myself like just really connecting my mind with each step. Because at first my mind was, drifting, but not irritably, just drifting, which is normal. So I just, with each step, like tried to focus on each step and then the details within each step. Like, so from like heel to toe, even like to the final spreading of my toes, and even like kind of felt like a good stretch there. So it kind of felt like even physically good.
Sean, are you wearing shoes?
I am not.
I am not either. I wonder how it would feel if we were wearing shoes.
Yeah, I took my shoes off. That's a good point.
Interesting.
So you were all barefoot.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
I became aware of as soon as I became aware of my hip, like my hips move, like my legs moving in my hip socket, like that whole area. My mind was pulled to thinking of Jess in the car, and how like it made me feel really grateful for the ability to move in the moment. And then I like started thinking about even if someone was getting like an alternate like option, if they didn't have the use of their legs, it might be really challenging for them to like even sit through this, you know what I mean, in a group setting. But so I like my mind went there a little bit, but it made me feel really grateful for the use of my body in a full way.
I have felt the same lately a lot because Duke's teacher, we had a family game night at the end of September, and we were playing a game, and in one moment she did something and pop, she ripped the calf muscle on her leg.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently it's very common, like physiotherapists see it all the time, but it takes a long time to heal. So she wasn't able to teach for 3 weeks because she couldn't walk anywhere. And now still every day when she walks him down for drop off, I see that they're the last class because she can barely walk. And every step looks like a walking meditation because she has to be so conscious about putting her foot down in a way that it's not going to tear the calf again. And she has to go slowly and there's no pushing it. And it's been such a good reminder of how much we take for granted that we can just walk down the street and go quickly and wish that people were out of our way, because there is, I mean, another case was a college friend of mine, her husband was in a very teeny tiny fender bender accident, and something happened where he had a spinal stroke and was paralyzed at age 40. So he is having to learn how to walk again, and as in, you know, intensive physical therapy for hours every day, retraining his body to walk. And so it's been a similar experience. It's like, God, how much we take our bodies for granted and our mobility for granted. And 75% of us will be disabled at some point in our lives. So yes. So like we should start appreciating it now, right?
Yeah.
Because we may not always have this capacity, or it might come and go.
Yeah, it was interesting in the car. I don't know if everyone can hear me okay, but
Yes.
I remember actually years ago, one of my teachers offered walking the hands rather than standing. And we were in the class with folks that were unable to walk. And I just really, it struck me that that was like, oh, like a different option of walking. And in the car just now, like, I'm able to like really see my hand move, like heel to middle of hand to fingertips. And that was feeling pretty good to just kind of see the hand slow down. But then that was making me a little car sick. So I had to close my eyes. And then I went into visualizing walking. And just the visualization was really kind of helped the nausea that was starting to arise kind of come down a little bit. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about, the body and like, yeah, how we're all coming at this from different places. And yeah, I don't know. That's just how it was for me in the car here.
I'm really grateful that you were in the car today, just because that's such an important perspective. And I think it points to, you know, Sarah, what you pointed out too, how do we make these practices inclusive rather than assuming the majority of folks will be in one state or the other? We should always offer that alternative too, because what if someone has an invisible disability that, you know, and especially if you're in a group and maybe they don't want to out themselves with that yet, they're not comfortable with that. So it's a little more empathetic to offer that spaciousness around it to begin with.
Yeah, and I would thank you for just, oh, sorry, thank you just for sharing that, because I was wondering what the modifications would be. And actually, when you said walking your hands, I was doing my fingers. Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess that could work too. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I was using just like the heel of my, the full hand. But one of my teachers, well, actually Paula Ramirez, who's on Meet Your Center. She works with such a diverse, when she was working with people in South Sudan, we were asking, like, what about people who don't have certain limbs, and she said that she would just ask folks, and people would say, don't not say because I can't. I still feel, and I think this is going to be obviously different for everyone, but that also is an interesting, just on the topic of modifications, it's, one thing to be inclusive and another to also, if we're intentionally like leaving certain things out, because I'll just say for myself, I think that maybe that might be better for someone I might actually not be being inclusive in that moment, if that makes sense, you know? So it's so interesting to just ask, or just, yeah, ask for number one. I think just like how would people want to practice this? And then give so many options. Because yeah, like Paula, maybe just walking your hands out, like your fingers, I don't, maybe that's the move for that day. I don't know. I don't know, whatever people have thoughts about that in regards to like things like walking meditations and body scans and the options and what we say and what we don't say and how that impacts.
It made me think of the teacher and Zen hospice leader, BJ Miller. Are you guys familiar with his work? He's brilliant and fascinating. Definitely look him up. He does a lot with hospice and palliative care, but he was at Princeton as a college student and had an awful accident and lost both legs and one arm. So he's a triple amputee, and he teaches so much about grief and loss. And that makes me think he would be really fascinating to turn to as a resource for maybe how to modify or offer these meditations in a way that feels completely, welcoming.
I think, and it might have been on my end, just cut out for a second in the beginning there.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jess, even if you could just say like, yes, this is what I was saying or not, it sounded like the point you were bringing up is, because I'm just thinking about myself, and like if I were in a teacher setting, I might have like the inclination to avoid a practice if it were potentially going to exclude someone. So Jess, is that what you're saying, that like that action is actually also exclusionary?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because,
Okay.
I don't think, for me anyway, I'm not going to, there's no point for me to try to be a perfect person. Like, I'm definitely going to do my best and still, cause harm, unfortunately.
Mhm.
What I could do is, like how Philip Moffitt said, just, make the space very open. So like, please let me know that you can come to me and tell me, but yeah, I agree. Like, it's like for me, my inclination might be like, if I'm teaching a group and there's folks who, who are maybe don't have their legs or a limb that's different. Yeah, at least Paula, she worked with so many folks who are in war conflict, and she said, well, the overwhelming response that she's had over the years is that folks don't want her to not name all the parts, because, and this is actually a real condition that folks, and I'm not an expert here, so I don't know, but she says that people actually do feel their limbs, even though they're not, quote unquote, there anymore. So yeah, it's like, it's just a balance. It's striking a balance and just making, I think it's like, comes down to like, just, like how Rachel was offering the practices, like they feel secure, like there's options, it's invitational, there's room for feedback. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a good thing for me to like ingest. I was in a conscious communication forum last year sometime, and one of the things that I often got like flagged for, the group was so phenomenal, and they would just very lovingly bring your attention to things that you were doing, and I learned the term heroing, which is, like just trying to like protect people from things that you have stories about them needing protection from, and I feel like that's related. So thank you for bringing that up.
I feel like this is such a good reminder to why we need a diversity of bodies on our teaching faculty.
Mhm.
We were talking a lot on Monday night about lenses and the lens through which we see the world, the lens through which a teacher offers their perspective. And we need to have that lens centered, not over here on the margins as, okay, if you don't have legs, here's what you could do. But like, what if the normalized teacher is one who doesn't have legs? And so this teacher is serving a room of people, some of whom have legs and some of whom do not. Like we need to move anybody who's seen as other into the center instead of keeping them on the margins. And it just reminds me of how important it is to continue to prioritize adding those different lenses of what it feels like to be in a body that has one arm or is blind or deaf as we serve people.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to slide you up so you can see. So what do I do if I'm walking and a strong experience arises? Like suddenly we're gripped in fear or awe, or we're just lost in grief. You can just pause in those moments and acknowledge that experience that's calling your attention. And so even like you, Paula, said you found yourself planning. You just notice it, stand still, bring your awareness to it, gentleness, whatever is here. Maybe even mentally noting fear or awe or sorrow. And when you find that experience is no longer quite as compelling, maybe it has kind of blown by like a cloud in the sky, resume your walking practice with that same clear and present attentiveness. So can I follow my breath as I walk? What about like dialing into my senses and I'm walking in the forest? What if I want to listen to the sounds or take in the beauty of the autumn leaves? So ultimately, the purpose of what we're doing here is to really calm the mind and cultivate this embodied awareness while we're moving. And of course, there are lots of ways to do that. And if coordinating the breath with your steps helps you to feel more collected, like Paula, you counted, that sort of thing, that's fine. Or if you want to open to all your senses and have it be kind of an embodied sensory experience, then that too is skillful if it means that you're fully present. So even if your primary anchor is sensations in your feet and your legs, when other strong experiences arise, like feelings or sounds or images, you can include them in the mindfulness. And again, here, not resisting them, not shoving them away, allow them to be in that foreground until they're no longer compelling, and then resume again by just bringing your attention back, the same way you would if you were in seated meditation and you discover you're distracted. Very gently and tenderly come back and begin again. I think again of what Sharon Salzberg says about how the practice is in the return. So even in that moment, if you wander, just come back and there you are. So my mind is so distracted. I can't keep my attention on sensations. What do I do? So it's normal. Most of us are often conditioned to be lost in thought. So most importantly, don't judge yourself, right? As we just said, if you've wandered and returned 1,000 times, then you have engaged in significant training. So every time you return, try to notice the difference between being in your thoughts and being fully present in your experience of walking. So other ways to support quieting the mind. This is like what Sean was doing in terms of really noting what the foot was doing, heel, toes, things like that. Experimenting with the breath, with opening your senses, and just finding what allows you to be your most embodied and present and relaxed self as you walk. Okay, so what if I want to go on a legitimate walk rather than having to trace the line in the carpet of my living room? Okay, so the reason that we want to do a short pathway when we do this practice is that it helps us let go of this idea that you're trying to get somewhere else, right? There is no the teleological purpose here of an endpoint, but it doesn't mean you can't take it wherever you go. So if you are out for a walk, begin with just the intention to be awake in your senses rather than lost in thought or on your phone. Pick which anchor you think will best support you that day. Maybe it's your sensations in your feet or the whole body, your sounds. And then, of course, when your mind wanders, just gently come back again and again and again to the world of your senses.
I took Sarah Jane's walking meditation with me on a hike with my dog, with not realizing, how it wouldn't really work. How that said, even, being guided through the practice while, the dog's running away and the trees and the, can't trip over the roots and all that, just made it a more impactful experience. And by the way, guys, it's really beautiful. It's only 15 minutes. It's right on the platform.
Let's mention it on Wednesday with that National Take a Hike Day.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yes, that's right. You sent me the link.
That was the one I sent to you.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so see if you can try 3 or 4 practice periods of this between now and next Thursday. So at any given moment when you are walking, just pause and kind of touch into how you're walking, your pace, your speed, your destination, your thoughts. And you can just ask yourself, how do I feel in this present moment as I walk? Is there anything I might shift in order to walk with more ease and peace? Something else I find useful here is to pull on some of the preciousness and impermanence stuff that we've talked about, and recognizing that this body will not always be as it is today. That if we're lucky enough to be alive in 30 years, this body might be hunched over, it might struggle to walk. So maybe drawing that awareness of preciousness, of the fact that our bodies are always changing, into that meditation as well. So we have our introduction to mindful eating at 3:28.
Almost made it.
Yeah, we almost made it, you
made
guys.
it.
And look, Sean's got his orange. Did everybody bring it?
Yep.
Oh, but I promised you. And we actually made pretty good time. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start here. I think we'll just wait. I don't want to go 2 more slides in and until we're all together, and then we can do the meditation directly after. But certainly if we tried to do it now, it would be one of those hushed, rushed eating experiences.
The opposite.
Exactly.
Hurry up and meditate.
Peel it, damn it, let's go. Yeah. So why don't you eat your orange today, however you want to eat it, and whether that's mindfully or not mindfully at all, and we'll start with this next Thursday. And then after that, the following week is Thanksgiving, so we'll plan to have next Thursday's session, and then we'll have a break the following week, and Mike will be back next Thursday, so he can do mindful eating with us too.
Awesome.
I've actually noticed that I'm really a not mindful eater since your introduction of the orange and candy bar. So I'm really looking forward to.
It's so hard, isn't it?
It's so hard.
Yeah. I mean, especially now that we have this handy little computer the size of a phone always with us.
Yeah.
I would say the default is mindless eating. It's remarkable if we can do mindful eating, right?
Mhm.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sarah, were you going to say something?
Oh no, it's okay. I'm blending conversations. I've just never appreciated my relationship to food, and I think that's a pretty common story for lots of people. But so yeah, I don't want to assume it's going to be a challenge, but I know it will be an experience for me.
Well, especially when many of us are used to, having a handful of M&Ms and just shoveling them in. And then we're going to have this piece of chocolate that I have a big one, but this is legitimate Swiss chocolate.
Oh, awesome.
But this tiny piece of chocolate that you have to be so damn patient and wait to eat. I mean, it feels a little torturous, but it's good for us all, I think.
My
We should all get Swiss chocolate for next week.
Yeah.
My mom lives next door to me, and Paula is a sweetheart and brought me a clementine last week because I had it on my list of get to the store. So she brought me one and I was thrilled, and it's been sitting here but it's Veterans Day, so I thought I was gonna have to stay home with the kids. I didn't realize Josh was gonna be able to stay home with them. So I'm texting my mom last night, like, do you have an orange? She's like, yeah, I do. And then, 25 minutes later, I was like, do you have any dark chocolate? She's like, Sarah, do you want me to pack your lunch for you too? I'm like, thank you.
I should just order Instacart delivery to the office next Wednesday and be like, okay, guys, here you are. Be at the office. Chocolate and oranges will arrive.
Oh, so good.
Sorry for all the false alarms.
No,
Now
it's
you
okay.
know for sure we're
That's-
doing it at the beginning
yeah.
of our next session.
So good.
Okay,
Thank you,
good.
Rachel.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to be with you all.
Thank you so much. What a
I'm
great
meditating
start.
Barbie. Glad she could join us as well. It's probably hard for her to do a walking meditation since she's always on the balls of her feet.
Yes.
I don't know if her
Okay,
legs
so-
even straighten.
Just unpopular opinion. What if we thought about the fact that at least little kids are being exposed to
Yeah.
yoga and mindfulness?
Yeah.
And and maybe Mattel is giving a percentage of the profits to some great organization, or and I love the Feeling Tones piece. That's
Yeah,
that
that's
movie,
true. It could be worse.
right? So
Yeah,
could be
good
worse.
point. Good point.
We will not
All
be
right.
distributing them as the Christmas.
Yeah, we're not going to
No.
put those as the gift from Studio B.
We can do a challenge, and whoever wins the challenge gets meditating Barbie. And
Oh, God. All right. I appreciate
We'll
you
see.
all.
all right,
everyone.
I
Have a
hope you
great
all
day.
have a wonderful day. Happy Veterans Day.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
See you guys.
Bye.